I can name 100 things I like. We'll take 5. Right. That's funny. Terrible. To keep it 1,000, I think I just number one is just the fact of how you're so nurturing. I think when it comes down to kids, and it can be frustrating sometimes, like, oh, you baby the kids, but I know that you always have the number one as a priority in your mind, and you take care of them better than anybody I could think of taking care of their kids. So I know you love them and you make sure they're a priority. I just love that. I'll never have to worry about, like some people, it might be hard to believe, but some people can worry about leaving their kids in the hands of certain people, whether it's the man or the woman. You know what I mean? But I know they're a priority in your mind, and you take good care of them. I be trying to find them clothes to wear sometimes. I don't even know where the clothes are. You handle that, like you put the clothes up, and I be trying to find some shorts or a t-shirt. I can't even find them at the time. But that just shows that you take care of the kids so well that I don't even have to worry about stuff like that. So I think number one, the fact that you're so nurturing. Number two, maybe just I always think back to like when Pastor Lockett, when we go to church, and he would say things like, Pastor Lockett, my God, like the man is the head of the home, but the woman is like the vision. The woman is like the eyes. And I know a lot of times with me myself, I kind of react fast and stuff. I just think I'm ready to do something. I do it. Yeah. I get it done. But sometimes you can have a different approach than I would, or you would just kind of say something, and although I know I can get it done my way, what you said is something good. And I can take that into consideration. And like I said, there's always more than one way to do things, but a lot of times you can say something that makes sense. And I really appreciate that, because you just see things different. And I'm rushed to do things sometimes, but yeah, you definitely have good insight because you see things a certain way. So just your vision. I think another thing I love about you is just. I think you're just a loving person. People are attracted to you. Just because of your personality. I tell you all the time, like, you always laughing at people. You always smiling at people, right?
That's so true. It is so true. Speaking to everybody.
She brought me a Panera Bread. Can you come coffee? What you laughing about? You just want a cup of coffee? What you laughing about?
Coffee.
Can I get some sugar? Yeah. Why are you laughing? But you're just a friendly person.
Right. So serious all the time, though. So that's probably a good balance, though.
Right. It is a good balance.
You gotta have that balance.
You have a good heart, and people are naturally drawn to you. Yeah. So I think that's a good 3 right there, right? Yeah. That's a solid 3.
So I guess it's our turn now. Flip it.
Well, Alexis went first.
I went first.
Right, so it's Alexis.
She said so.
I can. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I can.
Next question.
Yeah. Next question.
No, she said she could go.
I love my spouse. We keep on this. Yeah, she said she gonna go next. Let me hear.
Next question. She didn't want to hear mine. She always got really good. She's like,
So, I can say some things. I'm next.
My number one, so as far as qualities I love in Lamont is, I like the fact that with him, he's a great supporter. Like, I know I never have to worry about our next meal or, anything like that. I know, like, if something were to happen with me, like, I know, we're taken care of. And he puts, I know you said to me before, like, he puts a lot on his, a lot goes on his shoulders is what he always says. So I always try to make it easier for him, but he is like a great supporter. Like, he makes sure like we have, and some people have like a certain way of living, and so he always says, but I want to make sure we have a certain way of living, or what we're used to. So I don't never want to disrupt that. So that's my number one for you. Okay. My other quality that I love about my spouse, he's very motivating. for me. Because, sometimes, life happens and you kind of put yourself on the back burner and you care for others. And that's what you say, like, I'm so nice all the time because I'm always worried about the kids, what they got going on. And I just kind of, don't really think about myself so much as them. So on the other hand, like, I remember I was talking about going to school and doing all this, but he always motivates me, like, whatever you want to do. You think about, like, you're 30-something years old, but people, where you're at now, some people aren't even there yet. Or whatever you want to do, you can do it. So that's a strong too, right?
Yeah, strong too.
But that's material.
Right, too.
That's
heartfelt.
Yeah. I can feel it.
You going town? You going? You don't have to.
No, I'll just.
Okay.
You're strong to me, and that's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but for Kevin and I think my number one thing with Kevin is that he's a great provider. He for our family, he's always put our needs above his own needs. And he's allowed me to be able to work part-time, and I was able to stay home with Amari, for a lot longer than most people would be able to stay home with their kids because of the sacrifice that he's made for us. So I am very fortunate for that. He is a wonderful father. He's an amazing dad, and he's very, very family oriented. It's one of the things that when we were dating, that I liked about him. That we would go and even though he was scared, I would, his hometown was a little too rough for me or whatever. But when I went back to visit, that was like one of the qualities that I appreciate the most about him is that he's very family oriented. And so that's something that I liked because I come from, even though I have a decent sized family, we aren't very close. So the fact that he's extremely close with his family is the main thing that kind of drew me to him. And another thing that I like about my spouse is that we have a lot of fun together. We have a lot of fun together. We like to travel together. Sometimes if we've got free time during the middle of the week, we'll go to lunch together, try to catch a movie together. Just try to keep it interesting, And I that's another thing I like. I feel like we both try to give each other our individual space as well as, try to find that balance of spending time together. So that's I would say those are good qualities by him that I like about you, my dear.
Nice.
Yeah.
You're a blessed man.
Drop a tear.
And this too, I had to think about too. I have another one because how
more.
you think like you on the spot. It's like oh my god, but I thought about something because I was to piggyback because what you just said. As far as like with our kids, like Lamont is a great role model for our boys because I know how they look up to him like a lot. So with the kids. And just off of what I know as far as a father should be and a daddy and just an influence, he's a great role model for our boys. So that's awesome. We have 3 boys. So for us to have these 3 boys, that's so we have to have so they have a good person that you look up to and
it's a blessing.
Yeah.
Like the one who punches in their chest.
I helped you out, man. I helped you out.
Yeah.
Those years at gym.
Terrible.
All right, now 5 things you hate about your spouse.
Wait, here we go.
I was trying to skate by to her. I was trying to skate by, but she called you out.
I forgot. Right.
You didn't want to say it though.
Well, I will say number 1 is beauty. And I can go a lot of different ways with that. They say the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice.
All right,
There's some chocolate here.
Okay.
That was the initiation of us meeting. She was actually living in Los Angeles, California. And we were mutual friends that I didn't know of. I guess the relation was hometown. And she liked the picture. I was in an AV for a TED Talk event. And I was like, Alexis Sutton, that name sounds familiar with 6 years difference in age. So when I clicked on the profile and saw her, I'm like, oh, this is it. She had a leopard print dress on. So
there you go, there you go.
Okay, I gotta have this. I gotta see what's going on. So that was surface. That's superficial. We all attracted to that first.
Right.
Yeah.
But then getting to know her from the inside. So the beauty on the inside actually, to me, surpasses everything.
Right.
I mean, what I don't have, what I didn't get, she has. You know, so compassion would be number 2. Empathy and compassion, I would probably wrap hand in hand, which was totally different from my upbringing. You know, I look forward to us building a family together and just the things that I don't have that I've gotten from her. Right. You know, from a compassionate side, from empathy. I can be rough around the edges, you know, right. And she's taken that. She's allowed me to see the era of who I am and to progress, you know, in a manner that's like, you really have to take time to look through other lenses other than yourself. Right. And, you know, to put yourself in other people's shoes. That's been my work in our relationship. Right. And compassion, I saw the root of it. Comes from her family upbringing. It's like I'm more involved with her family than I am my own. I mean, they're very compassionate, very outgoing. This past week, I spent the whole week with my in-laws. You know, I'm always with them. Right. The other thing I would say is because I'm a creative musician and just a creative mindset, her level of discipline balances me out. I'm a dreamer. Before her, I lived in a dream world. You know, everything is just, I'm gonna make this happen, this is gonna happen. I can spit out dreams and $1 million visions all day long. The follow through wasn't where it should be until she came along. She held me accountable. Right. So it's like, okay, you said this is gonna happen. This is a dream you have. We've got to let's step back into reality to make this come to fruition. So those are my top 3. You know, there are a lot of sub things that can come from those, but those are definitely fundamentals that have helped me to grow and to be a different person. Right. And every day that I discover them about myself makes me value her stronger.
Right.
You know,
Right. Makes sense.
We got some tissue. Man.
Hell up. I got hate
Come on, Cam, man.
I love it. That was good.
Yeah. Thanks, babe. Switch gears.
Switch gears.
Alright, come on.
Let's see what we got next on the spinning wheel.
Podcast.
Woo.
ATL.
Because one more time, you can get your refill, okay?
Right.
What we got?
This is a good one.
Get some heat.
Is arguing a natural part of the relationship?
Ooh, I'll jump first on that. Okay.
Let's go.
Because it's an easy one. Because it's no. It's not natural. Like I think I kind of alluded to this earlier. That me personally, I can argue. I don't really like to argue. I like to debate. I think because of like where I came from and all the struggles that I've been through and what I've seen in life, I think my point of view is like number one. And I realize, you know, when dealing with a woman like my wife, is that when you have someone that's confident in themselves and can pick and choose their battles, I think every person that has been married for a long time have told me, man, listen, pick and choose your battles, right? And I think my wife has showcased that to me at an early age, is that picking and choosing your battles is key, and she does that very well. So we don't argue at all. Not in 4 years we have really like had a strong argument, like really. I mean, in this, and I would say it's because of her, because a lot of times she would like make a statement and she'll leave and go upstairs, or she'll make a statement.
So you can't respond to it.
I mean, no, I mean, but
not like that.
But it's like,
I
understand, but like she'll make a statement. It was like, but you can tell it's not the end of all things. Like it's not like I made this statement. This is what it is. It's like this is on my chest. I'm gonna get it out. Like, all right, cool. I'm done with it.
Keep it moving.
Let's move on. And then that night, it's like we can still have a conversation. Like, I mean, if she go upstairs to be mad, I can go up there and like joke around with her, like try to like lighten the situation up. And we'll go to bed. We'll be happy. We'll communicate. She doesn't really hold a grudge.
She ain't got her back to you?
No, she don't have her back to me. No, she don't have her back to me. And
I just try not to go to bed angry. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like if it's you know, you're gonna have like little things or whatever, but I try not to go to bed angry. If it's something small, I'm just real laid back. Like I'm real laid back. If it's something small, I don't let it ruffle me too bad. You know what I'm saying? Like if it's something that, like an opinion that I really have, like a strong opinion about something, then I'm gonna let him know. But we're not gonna sit here and argue about it. But if I'm like taking the time to be like, okay, look, well let's sit down, let's talk about it. Like let's really dive into it. I'm gonna do that, but I'm not gonna be just arguing and all of that, because I just personally don't like that. You know what I'm saying? I don't like all that. I don't like getting a headache. I don't like getting all riled up over. I just personally don't like that. So that's why, like when we first met, like he would love to debate, and I just be like, look, I'm not about to go there with you. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'll say. I'll say I'm not gonna go there with you. You know, he knows me well enough now to know that I'm not finna argue, sit here and argue with you. Like I'm not gonna go there. I'm not gonna debate you. Like we can talk it out if you want to talk it out. Or if you need a minute, you need to wait, or we can come at it another day or whatever. But I'm not gonna.
Let me ask you, Kev. So when you debate, are you debating just for the sake of debating, or are you debating because you think you're right?
I debate because I think I'm right. Okay. So because I think I'm right, and a lot of times I think we don't. I think there's certain people who don't want to take a break and understand that you may be wrong or there's a different way of doing things. I think it's not because I'm right and she's wrong. It's because I want my way to be the way of the future, or the way that we need to get things accomplished, or it needs to be this way. Right. So it could be over like simple things of how my son dressed. Right? I might think like, this is the way I want him to dress. And she's like, I don't give a damn how he dressed right now at 2 years old. It's cool, throw this on, throw that on. So me, I can take that and make it to a full-blown conversation about how I grew up, how you should dress, how a black man should look. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I can take that a lot of different ways. You know what I mean? I can take that into like a heated conversation, like, oh, you don't respect me? Oh no! A black man gotta dress like this, and he gotta be this way, and he gotta do this, he gotta wear this, he gotta present himself. And she's probably like, he's 2 years old. Pick out what you want to wear. You want to wear these red socks, the yellow shirt, and the orange shorts?
No. But like today, I was trying to let him, exert some independence. Open a drawer. Amari, pick out what you want to wear. Here he come down the hallway, looking over his shoulder like that. Amari, wear this. Don't you want to wear these shorts? No, Daddy.
He ain't ready yet. He ain't ready yet. That's the way I think about it. I ain't trained him. He ain't ready to know, like, oh, these kids put on.
But what I was saying was, I told him, I said, leave the room. I'm letting him pick out his clothes. Like, it doesn't matter what he picks. I'm just trying to get him used to the idea of him picking out his own clothes. And he just coming in the room like, oh no, you ain't gonna have him dressed like no country bumpkin. What he got? I mean, like, you missing the point. Like,
that's a prime example. Like, you know what I mean? I'm just like, all right, you're right. I'm too over the top right now. You're 2 years old. Like, right. I don't wear Batman, whatever you want to wear. Like, but I think that's like, when it comes to argument, like, I really, because of me, because I grew up in an environment where it was fist fights being thrown. A little scuffle was normal. Like, I thought that was love. You know what I mean? When the wife and the husband like really like, oh. Like, I thought it was love. Like, I'm like, oh, that was a little love right there. Like, you know what I mean? So that's passion. Like, when you come up in that environment, like, an argument was like, oh, they really love each other. But at that time, I didn't really know like that was a problem. Right. You see what I'm saying? So a debate is really a problem, right? And I didn't really know that, but I thought that was like strong love. I thought that was a black woman standing up for herself. I thought it was a black man trying to be the king, a black woman trying to be the queen, and it was just that type of environment that you need to have. Right. So when dealing with my wife, is like, you need to have that type of situation, right? It's like, when she stand up for something, and you really know that, if you know her, you really know like, oh, she really standing up for something today. Like, she want this, and then I'll let it go. I'll let it go. So I think that's where we are right now. So I really appreciate it. I think that's number one within our relationship where I think we're going strong because of that number one foundation of like not really trying to argue and not really trying to debate.
Trying to have a balance again.
Yeah.
And I think our experiences help shape what we define to be arguments, confrontations, like what you're alluding to, what you saw. Like my experience is different of like my mom was very, everything that she said came from a forceful place, you know, and that's what I thought was love, you know, and so when she confronted me, I think it would be more considered confrontation / would turn the argument. Would be from a place that she's not challenging me in any way, but it would be a place that you wanted to firm or just be inquisitive of how for us to be better in the relationship or understand each other. But I would immediately flip that to argument because that's like what you're saying. That's what I found to be love. So I'm on the fence, you know. So I think that argument and confrontation is healthy because iron sharpens iron. It takes friction. It takes that type of thing to get great at anything, a learning experience. But I think the lens that we fuse it through kind of dictates how we respond and react to it. So when her intentions were pure, and I would already be offensive because I'm shaping it through the lens that I've experienced my whole life. So I'm already like ready to battle you, and it wasn't a battle. It's like I don't have any gloves here. I don't even see a ring. So like, what are we doing here? And I think it took, and then she has experiences as well that you want to share. But it's like it took a while for us to understand. Let's not have an offense. Let's not bring our past experiences here. Through counseling, we got that. Shameless plug, Dr. Suleiman, if anybody needs help. He's phenomenal, but he made, and I'll use this example, I'm sure you wouldn't mind, because it got to the point we needed to bring this here. I was serious about premarital counseling. She was as well. This was her advice. And, you know, one example he was talking about the ship in the room, and like a lot of times we don't listen healthily to what the other person is saying because we're ready to respond. We're ready to argue. We're ready to sit here and battle. And so he forced us number one, to look at each other and have healthy dialogue and put our hands underneath it. It's like, for right now, this is her shit. You can't respond. I even had to mirror what she was saying. So if she said something and she genuinely wanted me to hear it, whether I agree with it or not, I had to listen to it. I had to mirror it back. Then I had to also affirm what she said. So I didn't even have I had the 3 or 4 steps. And I had to summarize what she said, have empathy for what she said, before I could even rebuttal and respond. So that forced me to listen, which is still, in my mind, was confrontation, but I was able to receive the message. And for long, when it was time for me to respond and her put her hands on me, I changed everything about it, and it wasn't an argument because it's like, I understand what you're saying. You know, even to getting to the core, well, I feel this way because of this happened at childhood, or for me, I feel this way. It was an experience that triggers that. And so I think that back to the course, I probably went way off trail, but I think that, you know, it does take a sparking to get to it. Because a lot, reverse of that, if I walk away from it and say, well, arguing or confrontation is unhealthy, I don't get my resolve, then I've got a story I'm creating here. I'm with the person that is supposed to be my best friend. I don't even get an opportunity to resolve it. So then where does it go? Does it go to the bar when we drink? Does it go to someone else? And it should be this person in a way that's not confrontation, not insulting, not offensive, that we can have dialogue and get a result. But this is the expert, so
that's good, man.
No, but that's all our experiences prior to getting married. That was key because for both of us, alpha. She's an alpha woman, you know, and that was hard for me. It's like, oh, this woman actually speaks up. She'll speak her mind, and she'll do it in a tactful manner where she doesn't have to argue. You're already offended because you're used to seeing this from a mother, but she's going to cut you. You feeling like you're getting cut. She ain't even raised your voice. And then you going to raise your voice, and it's still like, what's wrong with you? You don't even have to play your Right. So that was unique in our relationship.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. That's really good.
I think I'm hearing words like argument. I think that's what you started the question with, and then confrontation. I'm not like a fan of those, but like I think about how we're all different and we all have our own experiences, our own parents, our own views of the world, right? Our own friendships that we form, and it's kind of how we look at things as we move through the world and relate to people.
Right.
The main thing I think is inevitable to have conflict.
Right.
So my thing is like conflict's gonna come. I think a little bit of conflict is healthy. It can add like a little spice. If you're moving through the day-to-day and you just do the same thing, a little conflict can like spice it up depending on what you're talking about, right? And I mean, people talk about the concept of like makeup sex, you know, like it does add some spice to not just have that monotony and say, okay, oh, you really feel passionate. Like you said, the word passion, it can be in there depending on what we're talking about. Some things are passionate, and I think it's a spectrum, and it can go into unhealthy. But a little passion, you know, is I think healthy as long as you know how to resolve conflict. I'm not a fan, like you said, I'm not a fan of the like we're gonna duke it out and we're gonna, you know, take it to the next level. We're not gonna be aggressive, but like I like that he's like a strong man and he's assertive and he has a because sometimes it's shifted like how I'm looking at the world. And if we didn't have the conflict and if we didn't have the tools to do it in a healthy way, then that's when it's a no-go. Yeah, but having the tools helps, and it's like, oh, you kind of shifted how I was looking at the world. You're in a different perspective. So I think that can be healthy for a relationship.
Prior to the tools, if she don't mind me sharing, I can tell you my response. It would be battling to the point where I'm like a kid. I'm back at 7, 8 years old, and I'm not getting my way. So it would be, we lived together 4 years prior to getting married. I mean, all the way up until marriage. So, which was great for us to learn each other. Day-to-day, superficial stuff, we got it. You know, I know she's not this person all the time, you know, and so I would respond. I remember one of the last big thing was I totally packed everything up, left and slept in my recording truck for 3 days, you know. But that was like a kid having his way, a grown man trying to get his way.
Right.
And then even with that, because of our commitment to knowing each other and investment in time, we found ourselves both contacting the counselor. I didn't even know she had contacted the counselor. So I'm calling him and, hey man, I don't know how to fix this. And then he immediately went to the tools and he said, oh, well, Alexis has called me as well. You know, so it's those tools that got us to the point that where we're at now. So I think that it's healthy, but then it also has to be under the guidance of something that's going to be productive, that's going to have some growth.
Makes sense. Yeah, definitely. So what do you guys think?
Arguing?
Well, because we could go at it like I'm
Here we go.
I go. She always tell me like my mouth is fire, but I will go in. But it's like he laughing, but he would too. But I think it's like, you know, you gotta mature too and grow, and you know, it's kind of, I guess it's to the point now where, you know, like, okay, well, all right, we good now, keep moving, all right, whatever. But like, we still be like mad, like I'm having attitude, and I'm gonna walk around here and gonna say nothing, and I'm, you know, so, and you laughing, but. You laughing? Cause you know I'm telling the truth. But you know I'm telling the truth.
What's the question?
It's a natural to argue.
Right.
I think it may be, I'm gonna say it's natural to argue. I don't think it's good to argue a lot. But I think it is natural whenever you have, like you were saying, you have like two different people in a relationship, two different backgrounds. Like I grew up in a single parent household, whereas you had both of your parents, and I think my mom, as y'all know, she's loud, outspoken, you know, and like she has like a strong mindset. So it's like on top of, you know, you coming from a different background, it's kind of like, well, I want my point to be heard too. Like I'm gonna say what I have to say, and you're gonna listen to me, and you know. So it's more so with us. I think it's more like I want you to listen and understand what I'm saying. But then on the other hand, it's like, no, I want you to listen to me and hear what I'm saying. But I don't really know. Your parents aren't really.
You know what I think it is with us is, I think with us is we both grew up as only children.
That too.
So we kind of used to doing what we want to do, having our own way, not having to compromise.
Yeah.
So like, we have siblings on our father's side.
But we grew up as the only child.
We grew up with our mothers as the only child.
Yeah.
And so we just didn't have to compromise. We just having our own way. So I think that's where probably a lot of it comes from. So I think.
And I think we also are headstrong, like a different kind of, it's like different. We both kind of had that little, like.
Yeah, we very headstrong.
And we're both,
I think even back in the day, like Peanut would always say to me, like, man, the saying is opposites attract. Peanut would always say, man, you and Shay, y'all just alike, man.
Yeah.
Y'all the same person,
yeah.
man. Very similar. And so that maybe probably has something to do with it, but I do believe that at the same time, like arguing and debating and stuff, I think it's natural. It's going to happen.
It's going,
but it shouldn't happen.
I think it's like how you handle it too. Like
I think over time you should get used to a person and how the way they deal with situation, and you gotta adapt or you form some kind of situation where you guys can grow from it. And I know how she's gonna respond in certain situations. Like Shane, she know how to push my buttons, but she knows certain things to say to tick me off. You feel me?
Yeah.
So you didn't.
And you know how to do the same with me, right?
No, we're talking about me. We're talking about you, right?
You gotta stay on that ship.
Stay on that ship.
Okay.
Sit on them hands. Sit on them hands.
So it's like, it's about knowing your partner. Like, I knew certain things to say to get her riled up. She knew certain things to say to get me riled up. And you got to be grown up and be mature and not do those things.
Right.
You know, because you got to think about the bigger picture. So I think it is inevitable, like Alexis says, that, debates and arguments going to happen. But I think over time, you got to grow for them things. And kind of, I know me, myself, I'll let certain things go. Like sometimes she'll keep on.
Why you still going on about it?
She'll keep on talking. Like, why are you still talking about it? We already finished.
I'm trying to get my point across.
But your point's already got across.
All right now.
Right.
Yeah, but that's how it with us, that's how it goes.
Right.
So you learn. Like I said, we got 10 years in this thing.
Yeah.
You feel me? So we kind of know each other.
Yeah, it's 10 of them.
Right.
10.
So it's gonna happen. Just gotta be positive about it, and that's it.
That's it. Can we take a bathroom break?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Bathroom break.
It feels so funny.
I
Initiate the bathroom break and not her.
I'm not gonna say it out, please. I'm next.
He didn't even say pause. He just ran out.
Listen, I gotta go.
Next. I'm next.